Well, as a Christian, I just immediately respond with Scripture. The fool says in his heart, there is no God. And Romans chapter 1 says, professing to be wise, they became fools. So here are these scientists, atheistic scientists, who are so proud of their intellectual capacity and claiming that science, namely they, have buried God. Well, God cannot be buried and he cannot be mocked. It's interesting about Richard Dawkins. He made a fascinating statement. He's a very staunch defender of evolution. And he was talking about microbiology in the 20th and 21st century. And he was saying what you have to do as a microbiologist, you have to constantly remember that the things you're looking at are things that only seem to have been designed for a purpose, but really weren't. Now, that's a good example of suppressing the truth in unrighteousness. So at every moment, the microbiologist is seeing clear evidence of the creative power of God, but he's got to keep training his mind that there is no God. Concerning evolution, there are significant problems with evolution, and frankly, as science goes on, more and more of those problems are being uncovered. For example, there's the problem of where the first living cell came from. And no one really knows how we went from non-living to living. And no one can give a good, clear explanation of that. They just take it by faith. There's also the problem of the lack of a fossil record. If there's billions of years of evolution, there should be more fossils, and there aren't. There aren't the constant transitional states. There's the problem what Michael Behe brought up with irreducible complexity, these organs that are really useless to the species until they reach their final form. And so how would they have survived through millions of years of transitions being of no use to the species until finally they come into their full fruition? Even Darwin saw this as a problem. And then advanced learning about genetics has taught us that, there's information that's being created. How to fly, let's say. Where does that information come from? Actually, we see a process of degeneration going on all the time. So frankly, I think science is giving always more and more indication that there is a God. And finally, I want to say it's interesting how, with the advent of genetic research, what used to be a problem for fundamentalists, let's say how Eve could have been formed from just a rib of Adam, nobody even talks about that anymore. A rib would have been more than enough to clone a human being. So for me, I think science is going more and more to giving evidence that there is a God. But still, the fool will say in his heart there is no God, and they're going to interpret that evidence very differently than I would.